So it arrived in the mail. I have gotten Brandon Sanderson's Secret Project number 3, and I am blind opening this as I have avoided the social media reveals like the plague. So let's dive right in. Secret Project number 3, Yumi. And I've blind opened each of these. Tress, sort of. I kind of had that one accidentally revealed on me, but the Frugal Wizard, project number 2, and this one I have not seen. So, okay, interesting. So on the inside, new phrase, storytelling is essentially about cheating. And each of these have been from Wit. And I noticed with the last Secret Project, it was a different tone. It wasn't a story told by Wit like the first one, which I thought was cool. Oh, okay. So this is a bookmark of the character. So we've got a little different bookmark there. They had a bookmark in the last one, which I thought was really cool. And, oh, okay. I got a Shalon pin. And I'll have to look online. I haven't seen if people have been getting different pins, like if they randomly place who you get. Because I've gotten, different pins, but I wonder if, everybody's getting different pins. And then this is a sticker, I'm guessing for the character. Kind of anime-inspired art with the name Yumi, I'm not surprised. Okay, here we go. Spoiler warning, we'll hold that there. Huh. That's cool. Let's see if there's anything on the bottom first. Okay. He just had the little message to the fans down there. Chuck that bad boy aside. All right, we have Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, Secret Project number 3. This is, wow, this is a really cool cover. It's interesting with this cover because all of the covers have matched in some form the original promo art that he had. I will say the last one, the Frugal Wizard cover, was almost identical, it felt like, to the promo. This one has the same feel as far as the two characters, kind of looks like star-crossed lovers or something, but the actual look of this has a very unique outline aesthetic to what we saw on the promo art on the Kickstarter campaign, which is actually super cool. Oh, and interestingly enough, he's got down here illustrations by Aaliyah Chen. So that's cool. Yeah, the spine on it's really cool too. A person is more than their experiences stacked up like stones. Our best moments are the foundation we use to reach for the sky. Interesting. So not a total synopsis or anything. Just a little brief mention. I'm curious to see the art inside because the art on the bookmarks and stuff is definitely that really cool like anime aesthetic that I like. There's just a stylistic approach to it that I really enjoy, so I'm curious if this will be the case because some of the Tress art I loved, some of it I wasn't as big on, and some of the art for Frugal Wizard was like awesome, and then some of it I was kind of okay on, so I'm curious to see. Oh, looks like there's almost like a just watercolor or charcoal style painting there. That's really cool. I'm sure I'm saying, the style wrong because I don't have as good of an understanding of artistic processes for visual arts, but yeah, bear with me. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Super cool. And this is cool on the inside too. It's got the cover there, but with I like the blue and the pink. It's a unique color palette we haven't seen. This one is also for his wife, also for Emily, who for some amazing reason gives me her love. So that's pretty cool. I'm curious if, there's not a, I'm not seeing anything as far as the synopsis, but the layout is very different from Frugal Wizard. Like, this is what's really cool is each of the internal layouts for these books has been absolutely completely different. Tress, everything was based on the spore seas. There was a lot of coloring in specific places that would change over the course of the book as you move to different oceans. And then the Frugal Wizard, there's a lot of stuff with like the facts, the FAQs, the handbook aspects, and the different illustrations as the chapter headers. It's really cool that each one of these feels like such a different book. I mean, it's like you can see this just looks so different from the other ones with the way that he's done the lining. I'm really curious to hear more about his process for how he chose these styles. Look at that too. So this one is pink and the other one's blue. And I'm guessing Yumi, yeah, Yumi's in the pink because this is Yumi. Okay, yeah, so the Nightmare Painter's in blue and Yumi's in pink. It's really cool. And then it looks like there's some overlapping. So I'm guessing there's some meeting up here, which is pretty cool. I want to see some of the illustrations. Okay, yeah, definitely an anime style here. Right there. So yeah, this big, let's put that there like that so you can see it. Yeah, really cool double page spread. And this is actually something I've been wanting to do in my books in the future, is having like a double page spread like that. It's so cool. Like imagine, you know, you're reading and then you just turn the page, you know, and you get this huge double page spread illustration, which is fantastic to see. And then it looks like there's just some other pieces that are smaller there. I'm guessing there's some other ones. Here we go. This one. Okay, this illustration is in more of a glossy paper versus the standard paper throughout the rest of the book. So it's pretty cool to see that, you know, for some of these illustrations, I'm sure for this to do it justice, he knew he would need this thick color paper versus just the standard interior paper. Yeah, here's another one there. So it's pretty cool to see that he's got these different illustrations. Yeah, there's a lot more color illustrations in here. Yeah, here's one that's not a on the glossy paper. It's on like the standard kind of matte finish paper. So there's a lot of these different ones. Yeah, there's an incredible amount of illustration yet again. I mean, this is just fantastic. The presentation on these is just something to behold for the Kickstarter campaign. I don't know if there'll ever be a point when he shares these as versions that you can get like this. You know, he's done the leather-bound Dragonsteel books, you know, where he's restocked those every so often, I believe, that were all originally Kickstarter, like the Way of Kings ones that are the big leather bounds. So I wouldn't be surprised if you could get versions of these. But I will say that, you know, anyone who backed the Kickstarter campaign has to be happy. You are clearly getting your money's worth with the level of bind quality and look with these books. This is outstanding, the level of quality for these. It blows me away. I kind of want to see. So yeah, all of these are through Dragonsteel. I'm curious, all the different publishers I know, or printers, excuse me, he had to use, because he had some snafus on the first print with Tress. And so I'm curious, you know, how he's put all these together, if they're through different printers or the same, because the consistency on the physical quality is really there. Like if I pick up this one or Tress, I don't feel a drastic difference between the physical nature of these books. They all still feel the same high quality. They're put together very well. And I am so glad I backed this Kickstarter. Now, what I want to do real quick, since they don't really have a main synopsis, is I can quickly bring up the synopsis to talk about. But from what my expectation of this book is, I'm assuming you kind of have like a star-crossed lover situation between this Yumi and this Nightmare Painter. And obviously it's for his wife, so I'm sure there's some, you know, sort of fun little allegories to their kind of romance or you know, bond. So which is pretty cool. It's cool to see that type of inspiration. And Tress was a love story, so I'm not surprised that there isn't more than one. Frugal Wizard is just like, from what I've read so far, is just kind of a fun, you know, adventure. It almost feels like a larger version of kind of a pulp fantasy book. You know, somebody dropped into this other world. It's really cool. And in that case, I'm really excited about this one because Tress was fantastic. So far, I'm absolutely loving Frugal Wizard. So I'm going to quickly look up what the synopsis of this book is. and I'm curious how much it matches to what I'm assuming based on the cover. So after looking up the synopsis, it is actually kind of similar to what I expected, but there are some little twists, at least to what he's alluding to, that are different than what I assumed was going on. According to the synopsis that I read online, Yumi comes from a world, as I expected, considering the other guy's the nightmare painter, of gardens and light, calmness, whereas obviously the nightmare painter comes from a world of technology and nightmares. And it says the two of them have to set aside their differences to find out their situation together and how to save both of their worlds from certain disasters. So I didn't expect any plots around the two of them actually saving their worlds or having to uncover why they were linked together. I almost, or I assumed that this story was going to be more along the lines of the two of them are in these far apart worlds and they're trying to find each other. Looking at the cover where it's got the two of them, reaching out to each other and it looks like, they're trying to really get a hold of each other. And so to me, I assumed it was something where, maybe the nightmare painter's locked away and he's trying to escape to get to Yumi, or they run into each other from, different dimensions and then they realize there's a spark and then they try and get back to each other. Some similar things that I've seen in things like Your Name, where the two of them come together and there's kind of this spark. But I guess this does kind of follow along that way since, the two of them end up having to, find out what their situation is and then save both of their worlds, from this disaster. It's kind of cool. It's cool to see that it subverts what I originally thought the plot line was going to be. I would say that both Tress and Frugal Wizard were completely outside of what I ever imagined those plots would be. I had really no idea what Tress was about just from the cover and the name. I mean, she's Tress at Emerald Sea, but what does that entail for the entire large story? I definitely had no clue. And then for the Frugal Wizard's Guide, obviously you understand, okay, somebody's got a wizard's handbook. There's a guy that looks like he's under some kind of warp, and he's like entering an area. So you think like, okay, this guy has a wizard's guide. There's a guy smiling. So I'm assuming like, oh, this guy's hopping around and being mischievous and having all this fun. And then as you read the book, you find out that that's not the case. It's actually somebody, almost like Project Hail Mary, where they're trying to recover who they really are while they're in the middle of this mission. And if I ever run into him, for Brandon Sanderson, I'd love to ask him, was Frugal Wizard inspired by Project Hail Mary? Because I know that was one of his favorite books. And so I'd be curious to see, even if it was like unwittingly, because you can read something and it can really resonate with you. And then when you create stories in the future, those ideas start to come forward and you realize like, oh wow, I didn't realize I was kind of recreating or riffing off of that. But it was such a good story, it just kind of sat in there and then came out. So I wonder for him if that was the case on Frugal Wizard. And this, I'd be curious, I know he is a fan of anime, if he saw the movie Your Name and if that was an inspiration for this book, since the plots are a little bit similar. But overall, the story that I thought it would be versus what the synopsis told me when finding it online were quite different. So I'm very excited to dive in. I know that people have told me, they haven't spoiled it to me, but they've told me that they've really loved the book, that it's one of their favorite Cosmere books they've read recently. And again, it's cool that these stories are complete, full beginning, middle, and end stories. I love getting to see Brandon Sanderson take his prose and deliver it that way, because he's very, very good at it. And with these big series that he's made, he doesn't often get to play in that space. So it's really cool to see it happen. Again, thank you everyone for joining me for the opening of Secret Project number 3, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter.